Welcome back. Today, we've got an absolutely massive explainer lined up for you. We're breaking down the incredibly high-stakes Champions League semifinal clash between Arsenal and Atletico Madrid. Look, the narratives are flying everywhere right now, but today, we're cutting straight through the noise and diving right into the cold, hard data. It really comes down to the ultimate question we're answering today. Can 10,000 lines of rigorous simulation code accurately predict the winner of a razor-thin 1-1 aggregate tie? I mean, when you've got tactical heavyweights like Mikel Arteta and Diego Simeone clashing, sometimes human intuition, well, it just isn't quite enough to see exactly where the edge lies. Okay, let's dive right into this. We're going to start by setting the semifinal stage, then we'll run our 10,000 match simulations and figure out the match winner. After that, we're projecting goals and scores, looking at the most likely anytime goal scorers, and wrapping it all up with our final predictions. Section 1. Setting the semifinal stage. So heading into the Emirates Stadium on May 5th, 2026, locked at 1-1, the contrast in preparation here is just fascinating. Arsenal, well, they're riding a massive wave of momentum right now. We're talking a club record 14-match unbeaten streak in the Champions League, plus they have a fully fit Bukayo Saka ready to go. On the flip side, Diego Simeone actually completely rotated his starting 11 against Valencia. He rested his entire A team. And Julian Alvarez, he's totally fit despite that recent ankle scare. But you've got to remember, there is immense psychological weight hanging over this fixture. Just look at that scoreline from barely 6 months ago. Arsenal 4, Atletico 0, right here at the Emirates. On top of that, Arsenal has lost only one of their last 15 UEFA home games to Spanish opposition. One. It's a literal fortress mentality, and that factors heavily into our statistical models. Moving on to Section 2, running 10,000 match simulations. So, the crucial point here is how this Monte Carlo simulation actually works under the hood. For step 1, the code sets the adjusted expected goals, or XG. By factoring in home advantage, current form, and the bookmaker odds, where Arsenal are strong 8-13 statistical favorites by the way, the model assigns Arsenal an XG of 1.8, and Atletico an XG of 0.85. Then, step 2 uses a Poisson distribution. It's basically a mathematical concept that's absolutely perfect for predicting the number of events, like goals, occurring in a fixed interval of time. And finally, step 3. We tell the machine to play this exact match out, not once, not twice, but 10,000 times. 10,000. I really want to emphasize the sheer volume of simulated matches represented by this massive number. We aren't just guessing here based on a gut feeling or a few variables. We are essentially creating a statistical crystal ball. We're letting the math account for everything. Early goals, late equalizers, super tight defensive battles, total blowouts, 10,000 times over, just to find out what is genuinely, objectively most likely to happen. Section 3. Simulating the match winner. Now, what's really interesting about this is just how heavily the probabilities tilt toward Arsenal. The Gunners win the match in regular time in almost 61% of our simulated universes. A draw, which, remember, would send this entire tie into extra time, sits at 22%. And an outright Atletico win in 90 minutes, that happens only 17% of the time. So the Monte Carlo simulation makes it crystal clear. Arsenal are heavy, heavy statistical favorites. Which brings us to Section 4, projecting goals and scores. Now, this probability right here is quite literally a coin toss. Under 2.5 goals sits at nearly 51%, and over 2.5 is right there at 49%. What this really illustrates is a massive clash of styles. Because even though Arsenal is heavily favored, Atletico's notoriously stubborn away defensive structure actively suppresses the expected goals. It's projecting a tightly contested tactical battle rather than some crazy shootout. And you know, that tight tactical battle is perfectly reflected in the exact score probabilities. Just draw your eyes to the top 2 rows. The 2 absolute most likely outcomes from our 10,000 iterations are a 1-0 Arsenal win at 12.93% and a 2-0 Arsenal win at 11.77%. Combined, that's nearly a 25% chance, literally 1 in 4. 1 in 4 times Arsenal wins this match while keeping a clean sheet. A 1-1 draw, which would force extra time, is the 3rd most likely outcome, sitting at 10.66%. Section 5, most likely anytime goal scores. I mean, no way. Just look at the size of Victor Gyökeres's bar on this chart. It completely dwarfs the others. He sits at a massive 71.6% probability to score if a goal happens. Well below him, Bukayo Saka is at 46.1%, and Atletico's main man, Julian Alvarez, is at 37.4%. The simulation overwhelmingly, and I mean overwhelmingly, points to Arsenal's number 9 as the defining figure in this entire matchup. So, you're probably wondering, why is Gyökeres so heavily mathematically favored? Well, the data anchors right back to his real-world role. Remember, the first leg featured 2 penalties, right? And Gyökeres is Arsenal's primary penalty taker. You factor in his totally lethal seasonal shot volume and his current form, I mean netting 3 goals in his last 2 games alone, and the code recognizes him as the ultimate statistical threat on the pitch today. All right, Section 6, Final Predictions and Takeaways. Okay, here's what you really need to take away from this explainer. The simulation closely matches the bookmakers. Backing an Arsenal win is for sure the statistically sound angle here. But for better value, that win to nil really stands out, especially given that a 1-0 or 2-0 Arsenal victory accounts for a full quarter of all our simulated universes. Tactically speaking, Arsenal's ability to control possession through Declan Rice and Martin Zubimendi, that should allow them to pin Atletico back, completely neutralizing Simeone's rested squad. So, the final data-backed projection, we're looking at a 2-0 Arsenal win, advancing 3-1 on aggregate, heavily fueled by our player prop favorites, Saka and Gyökeres. But I want to leave you with this final, kind of provocative thought. We've run the numbers 10,000 times. We know exactly what logic and probability dictate. But guys, this is the Champions League semifinal. Will the cold, hard math actually hold true under the floodlights at the Emirates? Or will the unpredictable, totally chaotic magic of European football defy the simulation entirely? You'll just have to keep your eyes on the pitch to find out. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.